I noticed this Jeep when I first started it up there, my dad's place. I noticed the voltage was getting pretty low. So I noticed the alternator was getting a little bit tired. I'll show you here a quick, cheap alternator fix as opposed to having to go out and buy a brand new complete alternator. So there's your GM style alternator from the late 70s, early 80s. Actually, they've been this way for a long time. I just clamped the pulley loosely into the vise here so I could work on it. There's 4 bolts you want to pull. All right, and what you're going to do is you're going to pull the back off of it. Inside here is a voltage regulator. Okay, a lot of the newer alternators you can't do this to, but without special tools and knowledge, these ones here you can fix fairly cheaply. It's almost always that voltage regulator that's gone. Okay, so there's the 4 bolts you're going to pull out. You can see they're pretty corroded. They've been in there for, well, I doubt this has ever been rebuilt, so I'm going to say 37 years. I had to heat one up, and that's aluminum, so you don't got to do too much. Just heat up the aluminum here with a propane torch, and, you know, go gentle on them. They're only tiny. All right, so there's your front of your alternator. There's nothing to work on in there. You might just want to check and make sure there's nothing burnt, especially these contacts here. All right, so when you look inside the back part of the alternator, all right, so there's the back with all the connectors. The part that we were looking at, your voltage regulator, is right in here. That's where your 2-prong plug plugs in. All right, and it's held in with these. These are the ends of the 3 screws. The screws are on the inside. Alright, so a couple things you want to look at. Obviously, you're looking for damage to any of the wires in there. Any big melting marks here will tell you to stop what you're doing, because it's going to be too expensive to fix. These here are your brushes. Alright, make sure that they're not damaged or worn right off. These are not too bad. 1, 2, 3 bolts. That's all you got to do. Right, there's your 3 bolts that hold in the voltage regulator. You notice 2 have a washer on them, the other one doesn't. The one without the washer is on the outside most. Alright, so that one way back there. Now in my case, that back one was being a bit of a pain, wanted to strip, so I just pulled the armature out a bit here, and that was able to get straight at it, okay? It's wired in here. You can take those off if you wanted to, but if you know, you can pull that out, no problem. It's not going to cause any grief. All right, so you pull this piece off. This is your brushes. All right, and this will give you a good look at them. And right in behind that is your voltage regulator. Okay, it only goes in one way. There's my new one. Quick check, they're the same. That cost me $12.85. All right, no great mystery how it goes in. You obviously have to line up your bolt holes a bit, and the plug in goes out through the opening. All right. Okay, so for your brushes, all right, you're going to put the springs in, and then you're going to push the brushes in, and you're going to hold the whole mess in with a piece of wire or a cotter pin or a nail or whatever. Okay, so essentially this is what you're looking at. The springs are in there, your brushes are held in by this pin. Okay, so there's your voltage regulator. There's your brushes with the pins. It just goes together like that. You can see there's 2 little guides on it. All right, you can actually put the bolts in here and help hold it all together while you place this down. All right, regulator's in, the brushes are in, the brush holder. Make sure you put this bar, this copper connector here, back before you tighten that one up. All right, if you bent it out of the way or anything, it should be fairly obvious. Okay, so once you're at this point, you're ready to put the front of the alternator back in. All right, what I like to do here, there's your bearing in the back. It's just a roller bearing, okay? And there's a little bit of grease in there. You can take some grease on your finger and jam it in there. It'll help preserve your alternator. Okay, this is the part where you can get screwed up and end up having to take it apart again. The alternator most often has the big end and the little end, right? You want your plug wire to be in the right direction, because this will go on any one of 4 possible ways. So typically that is your pivot point. It's usually at the bottom. So your plug-in should be somewhere around where my finger is. You see what I mean? It can go anywhere. You have to line up your holes now with your threaded part in the front of the alternator. Right, if everything's gone right, your pin is still sticking out, your alternator is sitting down, your bolts are lining up, and you just tighten them down. There shouldn't be any grinding or crunching or anything. That probably means you dropped a washer or something in there, or maybe one of your tools. All right, once you got 1 or 2 of the bolts in, or you can wait to the end, doesn't matter, just pull your wire out. You can hear the 2 clicks. That's your brushes re-engaging on the armature. Alternator's rebuilt for less than 20 bucks. Okay, here we are. Alternator's back on. Nothing to it. You notice where you want your plugs. Okay, you can rotate it if you want. Say your plug's up here, you can rotate it a little bit. It's up to you. No big deal. A lot of times, and as is in the case in this one, you go hog wild over the years, tightening your belts and changing your belts, and you forget that you're threading this thing into an aluminum, and you strip that aluminum threads in the housing. Never fear, it's only aluminum. What you can do is you can drill that thing out, put in a longer bolt, and put a nut on the back. All right? Cheap, easy fix. Don't go blowing $150, $200 on an alternator. All right, I hope this helps. As always, like, comment, and subscribe.